Great, should we start? Great. So hello everyone, I'm here with Dan Reecer. Very pleased to have this guest today, as he has an outstanding background within the Polkadot team itself and now with Acala. Dan, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is Dan Reecer. So currently working on the Acala project. I'm a chief growth officer, so leading a lot of our business development and marketing work at Acala. Acala is a DeFi platform built on Polkadot, and I'm sure we'll get more into that. Prior to Acala, I was at the Web3 Foundation, so I spent about a year and a half working on both Polkadot and Kusama, the two kind of main projects of the Web3 Foundation. So got a lot of great kind of background and experience on Polkadot. And then because Polkadot's this kind of base layer, I decided to move kind of up to the parachain level and join the Acala team. So thanks for having me today.
Great. So Dan, again, I have heard wonderful things about what you did during your time in Polkadot, and I think that one of the main questions that our audience have is, can you give us a very simple overview of the Polkadot ecosystem, and then a very good overview of Acala, if possible?
Yeah, definitely. So Polkadot is very complicated. If you do ever take the time to go and look and like read the website and stuff, it's a lot to wrap your head around because it's all so like very new and it's actually quite technical. But the most basic way to kind of explain Polkadot is this multi-chain kind of ecosystem connecting together a bunch of different blockchains. And it's an ecosystem first and foremost. So Polkadot's connecting together all these different chains that specialize in different things. So in Acala's case, we specialize in DeFi. Other teams specialize in, let's say, identity or Internet of Things or security or privacy, what have you. And then below that, Polkadot itself really specializes in two main things. So number one, Polkadot provides cross-chain or interoperability between all of the different chains connected to it. So that's really important right now, as we've seen different bridging hacks and vulnerabilities of these bridges between different layer ones. Polkadot is kind of bringing everyone together and bridging everyone with what's called XCM or cross-chain messaging that doesn't actually require bridges. So it's a lot more reliable and secure than these traditional kind of bridges that we're seeing in crypto. The second thing Polkadot does is it provides security, really strong security to all of the blockchains like Acala that connect to it. So traditionally with like Ethereum or let's say Solana, other layer ones, the team who built that had to actually build up a whole set of validator nodes to secure the blockchain, which takes a lot of effort and a lot of time to build up enough security to get to the point where you can feel comfortable that you're not going to be hacked or taken over. Polkadot itself right now is worth about $10 billion, which means that every parachain that connects to Polkadot's security set is automatically secured by the $10 billion that Polkadot is securing. So really nice for developer teams who are wanting to run their own blockchain, but don't want to have to worry about building up the security of their chain. But that's less kind of something that end users would think about. I think when users use something, they hope and they assume that it's secure. So it's nice that people can use things on Polkadot knowing that that's something that we don't really need to worry about per se. So yeah, so that's the background on Polkadot. And then Acala, so Polkadot, right now, the theoretical limit of the number of parachains that can connect to it is 100. And right now, 18 teams have kind of earned their right to launch on Polkadot and take one of these slots, as we call it, on Polkadot. It's kind of like you can almost think of it as like a parking lot of 100 slots, and there's 18 cars parked on Polkadot right now. And each of these chains, like I mentioned, is specializing. Most chains are specializing in one kind of area. So Acala is focusing on DeFi. Others are focusing on other things. And then there are also some chains that are more general kind of layer one platforms that are building up these very varied ecosystems of different types of apps launching typically in an Ethereum virtual machine or an EVM. In Acala's case, we've decided, we were actually one of the first teams to build on Polkadot. It was actually over 3 years ago. And when we looked at what Gavin Wood and the team behind Polkadot built, the four co-founders looked forward and were thinking, okay, what is the need? What is the biggest need for this Polkadot ecosystem to become a success? And it brought everyone back to the idea of a decentralized stablecoin. So basically financial infrastructure to help operate this whole ecosystem. Because if you look at any real world economy or any new country, I'm from the United States. When the United States was started hundreds of years ago, there was nothing here. And before there were like factories and businesses, there had to be one core component, and that was a currency, which had to obviously be stable for people to interact and to trade and exchange goods. Once there's a currency established, then you can build on top of that and innovate and build businesses and grow. And that's what Polkadot didn't have at the very beginning. So Acala the first thing we built was AUSD. So this is our decentralized over collateralized stablecoin, basically providing financial infrastructure for all of the different, the 100 blockchains that are connected to Polkadot. So this is the kind of default native stablecoin of the Polkadot ecosystem. And the cool thing is what we were able to do is build our entire blockchain, or our parachain as we call it in Polkadot. We built our blockchain around AUSD with different products that kind of support that and also support an ecosystem. So around the stablecoin, we also built, first of all, a DEX. So this is, you can think of it like Uniswap. This DEX actually helps support the stablecoin because this is a decentralized stablecoin. So there needs to be, it's called liquidations. It's a little bit more technical, but it helps basically keep the stablecoin pegged at $1 and secure. The other thing we built was liquid staking for DOT, which allows people to stake DOT and then get this LDOT token that's still liquid and usable within DeFi. And then finally, we are just getting very close to launching our EVM, as I mentioned before. So the Ethereum virtual machine built on top of Acala will allow various different applications, mostly in the DeFi space, to launch on top of Acala and kind of take advantage of everything that we've built on Acala. So that's kind of, I guess, when it really comes down to it, Acala's role in the Polkadot ecosystem is providing stablecoin infrastructure and then becoming, we're basically this liquidity or DeFi hub serving the rest of the Polkadot ecosystem for that specific purpose. And then because of AUSD, we almost provide it's like a credit facility. So if you have DOT and you can even mint AUSD from your DOT without having to sell your DOT. You basically just lock it up in this as collateral, and then you can mint AUSD. If people are familiar with DAI on Ethereum and Maker, it's a similar kind of model, being able to pull liquidity out of your assets. So that's the introduction, I guess, to Polkadot and Acala. Let me know if you have any questions.
I think my question will be a little bit more on the use cases of some of the examples, tangible examples of how to use, in this case, Acala. How many businesses in DeFi will be using Acala?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so for Polkadot, I think the use cases are they're virtually unlimited and like really hard to even predict where things are going. On Polkadot, it's interesting because there's multiple layers, as you can probably tell by the way I explained Polkadot and Acala. On Polkadot, developers can come and build mostly in two categories. So number one, they can do what Acala did and they can build their own blockchain called a parachain. The second thing teams can do is build an application on top of one of those parachains. So there'll be 100 blockchains, then on all 100 of those blockchains, you can also build applications. So this is going to grow, exponentially. So teams, a lot of teams are building in both of those categories. The teams building in the application space are building on top of blockchains like Acala. Acala, so for use cases, I think one thing, maybe just as an easy mental comparison. So all those things that I described in Acala, right now, everything that's live, you can almost, if you want to make comparisons to previous things that have launched. So Acala is like it's an application chain or an app chain. So we focus on DeFi, and you can think of it as, it's like Maker and Aave and Curve, all kind of combined into one environment and all focusing on one stablecoin, AUSD. The interesting thing right now, if you're watching the DeFi space, is like Maker, obviously they have DAI, but now Aave came out and said that they're building their own stablecoin. Curve is building their own stablecoin. So it's beginning to be very fragmented among all these different DeFi applications, whereas Acala is focusing everything towards one stablecoin. So it's a lot more of a focused effort. And it's all built into a chain instead of an application on top of a chain, which allows us a lot more flexibility. As far as use cases, so as far as Acala's strategy, we're focusing on kind of like two different paths. So number one is DeFi and crypto native things. So a lot of work right now with the Polkadot ecosystem, getting our stablecoin, growing our stablecoins kind of use and utility across other parachains on Polkadot. So right now, a lot of stuff is about to go live on Moonbeam, which is another parachain. Also, a lot of activity starting to happen on the A-Star ecosystem, and many, many others. So growing the adoption of our stablecoin is one of our main efforts. And this allows other ecosystems, so like decentralized exchanges, money markets, even the NFT marketplaces, people who need a stable currency. All these chains on Polkadot want to use AUSD because they know that it can be transferred to their chain trustlessly without a bridge, instead of like importing, let's say USDC from Ethereum. There's always that bridge risk. The second path that we're taking at Acala is what we kind of refer to as hi-fi or hybrid finance. So we're working to combine the worlds of Web2 or traditional finance with Web3 or crypto, to the point where we think this is really where we can, everyone always talks about mass adoption, but mass adoption is, in my mind, when you get crypto into the hands of people in the real world without them even realizing that they're using crypto on the back end. So millions and millions of people, maybe billion by now, have cell phones with internet. And a lot of these people already are so used to using, their application for their banking or for their savings account. So starting this, we are working with a company in New York City in the US called Current.com. So Current has 4 million customers in the US who use their app for checking and savings accounts. And Current is actually one of the leaders in the fintech space when it comes to innovation and especially now crypto. And they came to us asking, how do we bring crypto products or higher yield savings products to our users in our fintech app by working with Acala, but meeting our customers where they already are in our app. So what we're doing is we're building basically a DeFi backend. So the dollars from those customer accounts on Current can flow into crypto and earn yield on Acala. And then that yield will then be distributed back from AUSD, our stablecoin, converted back into dollars, and then distributed to those customers in the Current app. So the customer experience is opening up their app, accepting and joining this new product that's offered by them from Current. But then the really, really cool part is that all of this, the yield is coming from crypto. And they don't even really need to interact with, MetaMask or public and private keys and all the complexity and kind of scariness that comes with that for most, traditional people in the real world. So that's one example of kind of a real world use case for Acala and kind of the direction we're taking. And then, of course, this will scale to many other fintech companies, banking companies who are looking to provide yield to their own businesses, but then most importantly, the millions of people who use their applications. One other kind of thing to mention is, as we saw today or yesterday with the, let me take a drink of water. As we saw yesterday with the USDC and Tornado Cash, like freezing of funds, I think one important thing to start talking about and thinking about is where do things go from here in terms of needs to comply with local regulations and things like this. So what we're doing on that end, we're working with a new kind of project called Alluvial. So Alluvial was started by Coinbase and Figment, two big players in the crypto space, obviously, but also in the node infrastructure space. So Coinbase Cloud being the part of Coinbase who started Alluvial. But Alluvial is doing liquid staking. So as I mentioned before, Acala has this liquid staking product that allows you to stake DOT and get this liquid form. But what Alluvial is doing with us is we're creating a separate, it's called a separate instance, basically like a copy of our normal open and permissionless liquid staking product, and creating one in a permissioned DeFi space, which means you need to be KYC'd, or businesses need to be know your customer, or they need to have their identity checked in order to get into this environment specifically for enterprises. But what we're doing is we're allowing enterprises to do liquid staking in a specific kind of place where they know exactly who all the other people are doing liquid staking there. And then for the validators who are doing that staking service, they also know who those validators are. So there's 100% certainty that they know who they're interacting with when they're doing the liquid staking, which for a lot of businesses is a requirement when they are going to be providing the service to their business or to their customers. So we're really excited about this because it's allowing us to scale into a whole new kind of enterprise level of customers, and also just being able to comply or help these businesses comply with the local rules wherever they're based in the world. So I guess, yeah, that's a couple examples of what we're doing with kind of, we're calling it Web 2.5 sometimes, just like basically blending together Web 2 and Web 3 in a good user experience for our users.
Right. Now, I think my next question will be, how does Acala envision the future of DeFi?
Yep. So it's kind of similar to what I was just explaining. So I think the biggest thing is we have to fix the user experience of crypto and DeFi in order to grow. And I really think, like, in the next 5 years, for us to get to 1 billion users as an industry, we have to figure out a way to get our products into the real world in a way that's still decentralized and transparent. One thing that I think everyone noticed over the last year was with BlockFi and Celsius and all these, they're basically DeFi. They were calling themselves DeFi apps, but in reality, everything was kind of done not transparently. So I think where things are headed is being able to show users, where funds are being invested behind the scenes, but also giving them that user experience that did so well. Like the BlockFis of the world provide a great user experience. It feels like you're using a bank. But I think the next step is just to do that, but also have the transparency along with it. As far as also where I think DeFi is headed is definitely kind of continuing to be more and more multi-chain. Right now, there's a lot of teams building Polkadot parachains. There's a lot of teams building Cosmos chains. And then, of course, there's the bigger independent ecosystems like Ethereum and whatever, Avalanche, Solana. There's teams right now like Wormhole. Wormhole is a bridge that we're working with, who's doing a great job on building up the security of their bridge. There's also other bridges like Acala and Layer Zero and others who are connecting all these different ecosystems together, because it's still crazy that we all can't work together more easily and without such big risks of bridge hacks and stuff like that. So I think going forward, we're going to see more and more teams wanting to use bridges, and also the bridges themselves working to improve the security of the way that those bridges operate. So that's one thing I'm excited about, is continuing to work with all the teams in the Polkadot ecosystem, but then also what's next is also going outside of Polkadot and beginning to bring our products, so our app chain, what can we do to help provide value to other ecosystems, whether it's through our stablecoin or DeFi services, liquid staking. So continuing to kind of expand out and work with more teams across the industry.
Right. And I think that leads me to my last point. My last point will be, how does Acala support builders? And here I'm going to be very specific in the question, what's the next step? If someone wants to start using Acala, what's the first step? How Acala is supporting those builders, in which way? What are the first steps to integrate, etc.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I'll even just expand on that a little bit. So builders is one category, so people who want to build applications on Acala. Then the other one I can mention and talk about is users too. So I guess for users, which may be even more people watching this right now, I think there's a couple things. So I know Huobi, you guys are all offering kind of access to ACA and potentially soon AUSD, our stablecoin. That's the way to become basically an owner of the network, a part owner of the network, because Acala, just like Bitcoin, is a limited capped supply. So there's no inflation. So by holding 1% of the network, that will never change, that unless there's like governance and stuff that changes the supply. The other thing is, if people are interested in using DeFi in like on the blockchain, people do have the option of using some of these applications built on Acala, using some of the browser wallets like Talisman or Subwallet or Encrypt. There's a few. People can get on and try to actually use. Right now there's ACA staking. There's also dot staking on Acala for people who are maybe Polkadot fans. And then also very soon, all these applications are going to begin launching on Acala. So plenty of ways to get involved and actually get your hands on the tech if you're interested in doing that. For builders and developers, couple things. So last year or earlier this year, we teamed up with about 9 other teams on Polkadot and 30 different funds, including like Polychain, Pantera, DCG, some of the top names in the industry. And we launched a $250 million AUSD ecosystem fund, basically for helping early stage teams raise money in a seed round or Series A to get their project or company started. If they're building with our stablecoin, we kind of offer them this whole package of services to help them get off the ground, engineering support, marketing, community support, branding, and then helping them raise their round. So that's one way that a lot of teams are coming to us, is wanting to work with us on this AUSD fund. The other thing is Acala has a whole kind of builders program. So we're basically helping teams to get accepted in this program with hands-on support, making sure everything that all aspects of their project are good to go before launch. And then last, we have Acala Foundation grants. So we're giving some grants out to teams who are building open source technology that kind of better in the Acala ecosystem and especially the Polkadot ecosystem. So there are a few ways that we're supporting teams. And as I mentioned, our EVM Plus environment, basically that combines substrate and Ethereum. This is going live very soon and is already fully functional on testnet and also on our Kusama-based network. So any teams that are building Ethereum-based applications, especially in DeFi, definitely come work with us on that.
Great. And I think that my last question to start to wrap up will be, again, both users and builders, how can they get in touch with you, get in touch with the team of Acala and also the team of Polkadot? What is the best way to communicate with you, Dan? What's the best way to follow what the Acala project is doing at the moment?
Yeah. I think the best way to follow would be the Acala Twitter is definitely our most active Twitter account, or sorry, our most active account in general. If you go to the Acala Twitter, which is Acala Network, you can also click the link. It's a link tree, basically shows you all of the relevant links for Acala. You can go to our website and learn about all the different products, and that's probably the best place to go. The other thing would be our email newsletters. We send out 1 or 2 emails per month, not a lot, not too much. So that's another good way to follow kind of like the high level of what's going on each month, and also being there for the kickoff of new campaigns and things like that.
Okay. And yeah, lastly, are you guys attending any conference anytime soon? Where are you based? I think I missed that question. Where are you based at the moment? Where you said the team based? Are you going to any? Are you gonna perform any or build any community event anytime soon where people can attend? Do you guys arrange those community building activities every now and then?
Yeah, so we have quite a few things going on. So community-wise, we had a lot of Polkadot focused events this year. So the rest of the year, I'll be at the Starry Mainnet in New York, speaking there, so people in that area can come watch. Other conferences, the rest of the year is not a whole lot, but well, yeah, we definitely pre-announce where we're going to be so people can follow that. We also have a lot of ambassadors around the world that are hosting various kind of community-led events. So in Sydney, Australia, in September, there's an event. I know in Chicago, there's an event coming up. It's cool to see people kind of hosting those things themselves in different parts of the world. But yeah, like I said, the email and the Twitter account are probably the best place to follow, and where we'll be, what conferences we'll be attending, and so on.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Danny. It was a pleasure to have you in the program. Again, I think that if there's something I take out from here is a lot of potential of the Acala network, and in this case, if I was a believer already of Polkadot, now I'm 10x more. So thank you so much for your time in Huobi Live. I'm sure we will have you in another edition. Make sure, for the ones that are hearing us, make sure you follow Dan on Twitter and you follow the path of Acala in the next few months. It seems like a very interesting project, a project that is still is on the way to skyrocket, I believe. There is a lot to know more about them. So yeah, just make sure you follow them, and all the best, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. See you, Dan.
Bye, thank you.